and welcome back to the Parents Awareness Program PAP. My name is Paul. This time I will be talking about Maryland's plans to curb juvenile crimes stir debate. I will do this second episode on juvenile crimes in Baltimore, which of course is not just occurring in Baltimore, as there's an uptick in juvenile crimes being reported across various other cities. However, I chose Baltimore because the news seems so inundated with juvenile crimes from this city, and because there are many hot debates centered around this problem by the elected leaders and some community organizers. I've seen discussion after discussion amongst the city leaders regarding their many legislations and policies in a bid to tackle the crime and violence problem. I have grabbed some highlights and excerpts from some very interesting debates as follows. I've heard much talk about the broken juvenile system and system reform, accountability from the outside authorities, that is, the elected leaders, pledges by elected leaders to get the problem fixed, the proposal by some lawmakers to shift away from not criminalizing juveniles who have committed crimes to reconsidering criminalizing them and holding them accountable for their crimes. I've heard mention of some very interesting bills, but the most interesting are the bills named the juvenile crime bills. You name the bills or proposal, it's on the table. All type of legislation, you name it, it was on. You name a solution to fix the problem, I've heard it. You call a name in leadership as to who is responsible to fix the crime problem in that city, I've most likely heard of the name. I've even heard the names of parole officers who are tasked with supervising these kids. I heard one lawmaker say that the lawmakers are trying to put teeth back into the probation system, and that hopefully children will get the message and to stay out of the Department of Corrections when they become adults. I heard a very intriguing soundbite concerning debate over interrogation policies. There was a very interesting bill proposal presented by one senator. This bill would allow for parents to talk with their children before they speak with an attorney in the event they are picked up and arrested. Another senator responded to that proposal bill by saying, "Lawyers understand constitutional rights. Not all parents understand that." To that, the senator of the proposed bill said that parents in the community that he represents were instrumental in helping him to put that proposed bill together, and they are adamantly in support of wanting to be involved if their child gets picked up and arrested. According to the news, the governor continues to call for change when it comes to juvenile justice laws, but refuses to say specifically what he's looking for from lawmakers. Then, the big question of the day was, who do you trust to handle the juvenile crime crisis? Democrats or Republicans? The poll ruled in favor of one over the other. I'm sure the votes came also from parents of the youths who are committing the crime and violence. For some time, I have eagerly listened to many debates on the issue of crime and violence amongst the youths, to the point where I felt saturated just to hear if any leader would call out to the parents and say to them, "Please do your parental job. Please do not have your children running around wild in the streets." Sometimes it would sound like a few would want to call out to the parents, but then they would stop short and divert. Even a pastor who I thought would have known better based on biblical principles still lays the blame solely at the mayors, governors, legislators, and other elected leaders' feet. No mention of the parents who have the absolute authority, responsibility, and the expertise to take control of their own children. And according to the scriptures, they are obligated to do their parental duties. While the blame is solely being pinned on the men in leadership outside the home, the elected leaders, my big question is, what happened to the men, the fathers of these children? I haven't heard any mention of them. These are the men on whom the focus should reside. They are best equipped to deal with their own children. In the midst of pointing the fingers at the elected leaders and calling them out for what they have not done and what they need to do. Did these finger-pointing individuals ever think that these children are missing their fundamental figures in their lives, their fathers, the main men who would be effective in curbing these children's behavior? And if they are present in the home, they need to not just be living in the home, but be actually engaged in their children's day-to-day lives. I say this because I find that some parents are present in the home, but their presence is not felt in the home. You see, we now live in a time, unfortunately, when some parents believe wholeheartedly that the system must parent their children, and the system enables such belief that it can substitute for absentee parents. However, I will do an episode pertaining to this topic at a later date. Ironically, there are fathers who are sitting on the sidelines pointing at the other men, their elected leaders, to take care and provide for their children, teach them, protect them, guide them, etc., and then control them. They expect the elected leaders and others to do for their kids what they don't feel like doing. But may I remind or inform these fathers of the scripture? 1 Timothy 5 verse 8 says, "But if anyone does not provide for his own, and especially for those of his household, he has denied the faith and is worse than an unbeliever." Back to the question. Who do you trust to handle the juvenile crime crisis, Democrats or Republicans? This should not be a question to grade the elected leaders, because neither of these elected leaders have the required expertise to know how to meet these youths' individual needs. These leaders' roles are to implement policies and to put laws in place so that parents can have the resources they need to help to nourish, support, protect, care for, teach, guide, etc. their children. If I may say, there are certain roles that only a parent can fulfill. No matter how hard an elected leader tries to take control of the juvenile problem, his or her effort will not be strong enough and mission will not be accomplished. The outside leaders are unable to accomplish and fulfill what only the parents can do. So, all the pledges to fix the problem, the implementation of bills beautifully named the juvenile crime bills, and proposal to curb the youth's behavior, putting back quote-unquote teeth into the probation system, the reinstating of laws to criminalize the youths for crimes committed, rescinding and reintroducing laws, removing and electing new leaders, and all the other hard talks and promises are of no avail, as has been evident over the years. Once again, this is a classic revolving door. It goes around and comes back around. Addressing another interesting part of the debate, where the lawmaker pointed out that the parents in his constituency are adamantly in support of wanting to be involved if their children get picked up and arrested, and to speak with their children before they speak with an attorney. I would like to say to this senator that these parents should have been adamant about being involved, guide and protect and speak with their children before the system got involved and before they got picked up and arrested. Them wanting to be involved in their children's legal process is a bit late, if I may say. These parents are a step behind their children, but they need to be a step ahead of their children in order to show them where to step and to avoid any legal process in the first place. This statement by the parents wanting to be involved if or when their children get picked up and arrested sounds to me like these parents think that they are only on standby for their children, when in truth and in fact it's supposed to be the other way around. Parents need to take charge of their children as long as they are mentally and physically able to do so, and the system should be on standby, ready to assist or protect the child when necessary. Finally, with regards to the governor's continued call for change when it comes to juvenile justice laws, according to the news, he refuses to say specifically what he's looking for from lawmakers. Now, what can the governor say to lawmakers that will solve this crisis? Unless, of course, he will say something specific to the lawmakers of the homes, that is, the parents. I do believe that the hearts of these elected leaders are willing to bring the crime and violence under control. However, naturally they are lacking the special authority to effectively curb the problem from the outside. I will rest this episode by saying this. I've yet to see a child who was raised in a home where parents with a single parent or two parents take proper control of their children, love them and nourish them mentally, end up in the juvenile justice system. These children turn adults seldom end up in the adult justice system. Parents have parental roles to play, and if they do not start performing their parental duties, then no one should expect anything to change for the better. If any changes, it will definitely be for the worse, as has been evident over the years. That's it for this episode. I will be doing one topic on parenting. So please subscribe to this channel by clicking the red subscribe button below. Also, it would be nice to hear your thoughts on this topic. So please leave a comment. Your inputs are valuable. If this message spoke to you, please hit the like button. It is free to do so. It would also be much appreciated if you share this valuable content with a friend or family member. Thank you for listening. Until next time, parents make the changes.